the fact is I wasn't looking for one. When I ran into you at the non-public schools conference there in Albany, in fact, I don't know if you remember, it was the last day. I was headed out the door going home, and your salesman stopped me. And well, okay, we'll have a chat, right? But that's important to know, because the reason I wasn't looking for one is I had already looked at a couple, and I suppose I probably shouldn't mention other brand names in this interview. But I had looked at and already decided against really pursuing very far a couple of other management programs. They were just, well, they were expensive, for one thing. You had to actually purchase the software. It had to be managed locally, which means I would have had to install a server. I would have had to have had an administrator, someone who was an expert in that process. The support costs were high, and they were complicated. And so I had decided that because of the size of the school we are, the limited staff that we have, that we'd gotten along fine. I mean, we were doing okay, just the way we'd been doing for 20 years. So there wasn't enough pain in order to require a fix, in my opinion. And so that's why I never stopped really at your booth the whole 3 days that we were there. But once I realized, the thing that kind of got me hooked into doing the trial period, which we started in November, was the fact that the data is all managed off-site. It doesn't require any equipment, either investment or software management on my side. And in a school like ours, and probably most schools of any kind, but ours is the one that I know, with 70 kids and a small staff, everybody wears 3 or 4 hats. We're just too busy. There's just not enough time to try to take on that kind of a project that I thought we would have to take on. So, the criteria maybe that, at least unconsciously, that you overcame in the initial, encounter there was lack of intensive management, a low cost, and as I mentioned earlier, another question you asked was just the sellability of the program in terms of a recruiting tool for students in the school. And by the way, I would say that that's been borne out so far. It certainly is off-site management, and we're very happy about that. But we own all the data. We've discussed that's part of the contract, that if we ever decide to leave QuickSchools and do something else, or that we own the information, we can back it up if necessary. And from what I've seen so far, the training curve is short, and the management from our end is zero in terms of possible failures and glitches and software problems. It's not our problem. It's your problem. We like it that way.